In today's video, I'm going to be making the top 3 LEGO CMF series I'd love to see LEGO make. So if you're new to the channel and excited to get an $1,000 UCS Death Star, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out some of my other videos because I'm really close to my goal of 400 subscribers. Starting things off, we have the CMF series based off the show Tales of the Jedi, and I'd love to see some Tales of the Jedi sets, but as that probably will never happen, I'd love to see a CMF series based off this show. And to start this CMF series off, we have Jedi Dooku. This was a pretty prominent character in the Disney Plus show, Tales of the Jedi, and this was one of my favorite characters in the show, and of course he would include his cape as well as his unique lightsaber. Next up, we have Yaddle, and I would really love to see a Yaddle minifigure just because we've never gotten one before, and also is a pretty prominent character throughout the Star Wars universe. Yaddle would, of course, include her lightsaber, and I'm sure a lot of LEGO collectors would love to pick this up and add it to their collection.
In addition to my collection.
Next up on the list, I have Pav T, and this character was far from my favorite in the show, and it wasn't even in my favorite episode, but overall she is a really cool character and one I think would be amazing to get. Pav T would of course include her blaster rifle and maybe even a baby Ahsoka Tano, and some other characters I would love to see included in the CMS series would be Qui-Gon Jinn, a younger version of himself. It was just a pretty prominent character in the show, and then of course throughout the Star Wars universe, and then Gantika. I don't think I pronounced that right, but she's just a pretty prominent character again in that one episode, and overall she's pretty cool looking. And then also the 11th brother, because he just looks absolutely sick and it'd be amazing to get him in LEGO minifigure form. Then for the final two, I have Jocasta Nu and Mace Windu. And I know there are many more characters I could have added to the CMF series, but for the sake of time, I'm going to move on to the next one. Next up, I think it would be sick if we could get a full LEGO Star Wars CMF based off the Legends. And honestly, there are two main reasons why LEGO doesn't make a ton of LEGO sets, except for a few exceptions based off the video games. That being, they're only licensed with Disney, so that's obviously a licensing and legal issue. Secondly, there's not a big market for LEGO Legends sets, and so I think this CMF would be a good way to get some Legends figures. And I also think we're obviously never going to get Legends from Disney anytime soon, and this is of course a theoretical mock-up video, but I really think it'd be cool also if we got a LEGO Star Wars video game CMF series, because there's just a ton of characters from the Star Wars video games that could really translate well into a CMF series. But all that aside, here's some highlights from my LEGO Star Wars Legends CMF series. Starting things off, we have Starkiller, and I know we have gotten this minifigure once before, as he was included in the 7.6/7.2 Rogue Shadow set back in 2012. But this minifigure would be based on his Force Unleashed 2 appearance. Next up, I have Darth Revan, and we have gotten this minifigure before as well, but I'd love to see a remake of it, as that was a long time ago and I never got a chance to pick it up. The minifigures I'd love to see would be Shared Het, Mara Jade, and Corran Horn. Now moving on to the third and final CMF series on this list, we have a Clone Wars CMF series. And there are so many characters that we never got to get a chance to have in LEGO form from this show, and some of these characters just only showed up for one episode and still were really cool and loved by Star Wars fans. But here's some highlights from the CMF. First up, I have Kit Fisto, and I guess you could say this is a interesting pick for a Clone Wars CMF, but it's been so long since we got a Kit Fisto minifigure, and I'd love to see a updated one. Next up, we have one of my favorites on the list being Gregor, and Gregor has gotten a minifigure before, and this would be with his commando armor on, and LEGO theoretically would have to make a new helmet mold for this armor, but I honestly think they could use it in a lot of different sets, maybe even a Delta Squad battle pack. But yeah, I'd love to see a Gregor minifigure in his Republic commando armor. Next up, we have Wat Tambor, and it'd be really interesting to see how LEGO would go about making this minifigure, as he's pretty uniquely shaped and would require probably a couple new molds. But yeah, this is a very prominent character in the Clone Wars, and I would absolutely love to see a minifigure made for Wat Tambor. Next up, we have a minifigure or character that has only appeared once in Star Wars canon, and that would be Imai Gundyne. He's a pretty cool and interesting character I'd love to see, but he just hasn't got a ton of screen time, so he'd be perfect for a LEGO Star Wars CMF. It'd be very interesting to see how LEGO would go about making this next minifigure, being Admiral Trench. Admiral Trench was a pretty prominent character again in the Clone Wars, and I'd love to see a minifigure based off him. This would obviously require multiple new molds, and maybe even we could get him in like a big fig form. I don't know, but I'm sure a lot of people, including myself, would love to see this minifigure. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. And also, if you'd like to support my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I'm really close to my goal of 500 subscribers. But until my next video, peace out.